critical issue at this point, other than there's a lot of work that has to be done. And I'm certainly hopeful that whoever is elected to the next Board of Commissioners will be working commissioners, because it's a job that has to be tackled, and it can't be tackled by putting your feet up in the desk and burying your head in the sand and say there are no problems in this county. We have serious problems. And I'd like to place more emphasis on the job situation. Unemployment is a disaster as far as I'm concerned. I think that life is when you have your daughters and in-laws and your family right with you, but we seem to put our children through grade school and high school and then ship them out to some other county or some other state in order for them to earn a living. I would like to see that reversed, which we have been trying to do here these past 4 years in keeping jobs here. We started a little late, but I think that we are going to, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I think that we're going to really have some success in the years ahead.
Now, was this a hard process to go through? We had, well, you can go back until the first white settlers came into the county, up until the past few years, as far as a real concern for developing industrially. How did this, what was the catalyst to get all this going?
Well, we had too many fragmented groups trying to solve this problem in their own particular area, and they might have received a lead from a specific industry, but that was the end of it. If they couldn't pattern into their local community, they forgot about the rest of the county. We have brought together the Kiski Valley Enterprises, the Shannock Valley Group, the McAdoo Group, the Armstrong County Industrial Development Authority, the Council. We put them all together. We have representatives from the utilities there and from the local business community, all working together for a purpose. And if one cannot solve the problem or has a lead in some way, the others know about it. So that it's a constant county effort that is developing the jobs for this area. And I would say that our success so far in the 4 years of 1,000 jobs is something that we can point to with pride. We have a number of groundbreakings to take place in the next couple months, and there are some real good prospects next year that are slowly materializing, but they look good, but yet we don't want to come out and make any ridiculous announcement now, but everything is shaping up fine, and it only was done because we were all working together. And I'm not saying that the Board of Commissioners has to take full credit for this. It is a constant effort by groups, by leaders, and by a very well qualified staff. And of course the commissioners, we get all the credit for it, you see. But it's the spearheading and it's the prodding that the commissioners do to keep this whole program alive. And of course we're in a position to make the decisions which help out on roads and water and sewer to a particular site, and taxes, of course, which are very important when you're seeking new industry and trying to encourage them to come to the area. We have a pretty good setup that is attractive that other counties don't have in Pennsylvania, in which if an industry can put 25 people to work, we reduce their taxes. Well, we don't reduce them, we just say, well, you pay 1/4 of the tax burden the first year, the second year 50%, the third year 75%, and then in the fourth year you're paying 100% of taxes. We say this is an inducement to get industry to move into our area. If we didn't have them, they wouldn't be paying taxes anyway. So actually we are in the long run gaining taxes and gaining jobs for the future. So some people say, well, this is not the proper approach to do that. Everybody should be taxed equally. I'm saying that if you have a vacant piece of property out there with no industry on it, it's gaining no taxes whatsoever, induce them to come in, And then you have this constant economic growth that's going on in Armstrong County. And they'll be buying houses here. They'll be shopping at the local stores. And this provides that extra incentive that we need to keep the county moving.
Well, the West Hills area is going to be one of the focal points of this growth you're talking about, and what kinds of future plans do you have for that?
Well, that is a really, I should say that I'm very unhappy with the West Hills project in that it has not developed as fast as it should have. It has been, even when I worked with the late Congressman Saylor in trying to get the necessary funding for that particular project, we were sure that there were a number of industrial prospects there that it could be filled in a matter of a few years. We have only a few industries there now. I hope that the Redevelopment Authority and the county commissioners and the planning groups, the East Franklin Township Planning Group, that maybe we can get together to kind of ease our torrid restrictions that we're placing on that particular piece of property up there. I can't see it sitting vacant all the time. And it seems to be year after year, but because we have put such strong limitations on it that we can't allow a motel to go in there, for example, or you can't have a regular trucking firm move in. I sometimes would rather have that particular project filled with a lot of buildings and a lot of activity and a lot of jobs, and then worry about expansion possibilities around the park or elsewhere. I think that we have made some definite strides in that regard. We had a recent industry in which there was some question as to whether the person was going to meet the standards as to making it look nice. Well, certainly, we all want a nice looking buildings up there, but we don't want to place such a burden on the businessman that he's going to have to build a Taj Mahal in order to move into our West Hills Industrial Park. We must use a little bit of sense. So these things are being ironed out, and I think in the best interests of that park, and I think that maybe in the future that it won't be so difficult to sell a tract of land there.
You're competing with a lot of other areas, too. You're competing with the proverbial Sun Belt, which has the advantage of better weather and I guess less union activity and certain other reasons that make it more attractive. So these all complicate this whole problem too, don't they?
Well, Ford, our whole problem is that we have started too late in doing this, and I'm not saying that that the Board of Commissioners should be faulted for this. I think that we maybe did not have the proper leaders at that time to see what was happening to the county and take appropriate steps then. We were letting this fragmented groupings do the work for the county. As you know, 4 years ago when I came in office, I fought hard to put that all into one package. And this is where we're going to have success from this effort, not letting everybody do their own little thing. And because of the fact that the Board of Commissioners did not, in the previous years, take such action, there has been nothing accomplished for Armstrong County, and that's why we're so far behind. Other counties had seen some of our problems and acted accordingly. We seem to put our heads in the sand and figured the problem's going to go away, or it'll solve itself. No, problems don't solve themselves, so you have to work at them to solve them. And while everybody else was growing around us, we seemed to be just complacent and letting things just ride along.
Well, I think the seed has been planted, so to speak, and that regardless of past attitudes, it is going to change. Don't you feel that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't you think that maybe the Pittsburgh market has finally realized that Armstrong County is just at their back door and that we have potential?
Right, but it's also a selling job that we have to do. We have to encourage the Pittsburgh people, the businesses, to move up the expressway, to come into our county, and that job is being undertaken at the present time. We want them to know that there is a county like Armstrong around. You talk to many of the industrialists that we did when we first went in 1976. Where is Armstrong County? You know, well, we're letting them know gradually where we are, and we're just a part of Pennsylvania and the Pittsburgh hub as Westmoreland or any Butler County or Beaver County or any of the other major counties. We're going to be a part of that.
Do you feel that being an incumbent is to your advantage or disadvantage in this election?
It has its ups and downs. An incumbent, of course, 4 years of activity, practically, you know, your name being spread across the news media weekly, that you're trying to do something constructive or busy. It has its advantages. Of course, at the same time, some of those projects that you do undertake, people disagree with you. What I have tried to instill here these last 4 years is that we have to have, and the commissioners have to take a decided leadership role. And while the people may disagree with me, they can't say that I have been wrong in my analyzing the overall problem. I think that we need a number of things in order to put the county in the proper place. And I haven't done anything to undermine our future. It's all for the better, which, as I see it, and based upon the experience that I've had in dealing with problems in Washington before I came here, and also seeing how other counties have developed their particular goals. There's no doubt that some of the issues that I have directed and pursued through the board meetings and through the press have been controversial. And I think that the people have kind of made up their minds, well, if he's for that, we're against him. I would hope that they don't become one issue oriented, that even though that we may disagree with our wives as to the manner of dress that they might have on, does not necessarily mean that we're opposed to our wives, okay? The same thing is, even though one issue might not be satisfactory with certain people, the overall program is in their best interest, and that's what I feel that well, that's what I've tried to convey through these 4 years, and I know that I've tramped on a number of toes, and because I have tried to weed out those cliques, and I'm not ashamed to say it, those cliques that have too long controlled the political system in this county. They have been satisfied with the status quo. I'm not interested in that. I think we need to get talented personnel, good qualified people to put this county back on its feet instead of having it run by a political machine or political cliques. And certainly I'm in trouble, I know, with a large segment, well, I wouldn't say a large segment, let me take it back, a segment of the population who do not feel that I have been completely cooperative with them in handing out jobs. I have made a pledge when I came here, even though I am a Republican, that if I find a good, qualified Democrat to do the job and a Republican is not available, that Democrat's going to get that job. Other people disagree with that. I don't think this is a one-party county. It's made up of both parties. And I took that pledge when I became a commissioner, that I would look at the overall situation, get rid of this partisan politics, and do the job which is best for the county. There are those that disagree with that.
Mm-hmm. There would be. Speaking of politics and the political party, the opposing party seems to be somewhat, well, let's say, not unified, I think would be one way to put it, a mild way of speaking. Do you think this is going to affect the outcome of the election to any great degree?
Well,
There's no unified effort on their part?
I don't know. I have heard, Ford, that the party is somewhat divided between its factions. I don't know what effect that's going to have on the election. But as far as our party is concerned, I think that we're running on a record of achievement as far as I'm personally concerned. I hope that Mr. Schuster, who is my running mate, and in whom I have a great amount of respect for his abilities, will be able to become a partner in the next Board of Commissioners. And whoever the minority commissioner is going to be, I think that would be up to the Democrats to select. I just hope, really, that they elect a commissioner who is going to be a working commissioner, will devote full time to this job, because it is no longer a caretaker position of the courthouse to worry about who is going to sweep out the corners. It has broad purposes as far as the commissioners are concerned. We deal with Washington and